Welcome back to Amplified. Just this week, we were reminded that people of all walks of life, gender identity, race, and color migrate to this country. To discuss how U.S. immigration policies have impacted black immigrants in particular is Patrice Lawrence. She is the executive director of the UndocuBlack Network, and back again is my colleague, Nayyera Haq, BNC's chief foreign affairs correspondent and host of The World Tonight. Patrice, I want to start with you. Even though black people came to the U.S. in the 16th century, black migration, it's relatively recent though, right? Talk to us about the migration patterns from the diaspora.
We've been here for a very long time. I think the waves have looked different in terms of different countries and different folks who have been here. Several of my relatives migrated shortly after Jamaica gained independence in the 60s and the 70s. There was also a larger wave in the 80s. But, you know, migration of black people has been natural and has been happening for a very long time. We have seen, however, since the 1990s, an increase in especially folks who are from African countries as well as the Caribbean, more than what had been present before as compared to other ethnicities.
So I am thinking about how the entire process seems, at least from where I sit and the nasty remarks of the last president, that it's different when the countries that people are attempting to come from happen to be black people or people who are a little bit too brown. And I wonder, what is it that is driving so many folks to come here? Please set the record straight on that. Patrice.
There's almost no easy answer to this question because it really depends on which country you're coming from, right? So if we look at, for instance, the issue with Haitians right now, we know that there's turmoil that has happened in Haiti. They recently had the assassination of their president, as well as an almost eight on Richter scale size earthquake. That's massive. That causes instability. They're still digging people from rubble. And the prime minister himself is also on trial as a suspect in the assassination or a person of interest in the assassination of president, right? So fathoming that type of information, like, you can understand why people would be migrating. Now, several of the individuals who are migrating also had been in other countries, and the racism has just reached to a boiling point. And that has forced migration patterns and have changed migration patterns in addition to misinformation that has taken place. People have really been stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
Nayyera, talk to us about the policy landscape right now, because some of us thought when Biden was elected, all of this was just going to get better. And then I'm remembering that, well, Barack Obama wasn't necessarily great on this issue of immigration. Donald Trump was a disaster. And now Biden, we're going to wait and see what he's going to do. Nonetheless, through it all, it seems to me like black immigrants are being treated differently from other groups. And I'm just trying to understand the policy landscape that would justify that. What's happening?
Yeah, your eyes are not lying. Like, what you see is what is actually happening. And the racism has actually been built into the system, not least because of the history of Border Patrol and where they came from, but also active decisions made by multiple administrations to treat immigrants from different countries differently. For example, there was a wet foot, dry foot policy that at the same time allowed Cubans to escape as political asylees, and they were able to, if they landed and put a dry foot on Florida soil, they were allowed to and qualified for asylum. But Haitians who were on the water, if they were if they were intercepted in the water, were automatically turned back. And so it's literally policies from the same region, same communities of people being treated totally differently. And it's hard to see that being for any other reason than racism, right? When you're talking about Cuban people that are largely Latinx and lighter skinned, and Haitian people who are darker skinned and black. This also goes much broader too, though, as you talk about the diaspora and immigration rates. Nigeria immigrants have the highest rate of graduate degrees of any ethnic group in the United States, yet they were on the list of the Muslim ban that President Trump installed, right? I mean, he called all of the continent the S-hole countries, and people went along with it. So it's not based on the economic reality, it's based on the perception that immigrants are something to be feared and that immigrants are a security risk. And that is something that Democrats have not really stepped up to address. They know it's the third rail in politics, that it is going to get Democratic administrations in trouble with the law enforcement crowd, and it's the same mentality that has stopped Democratic administrations from really tackling police reform.
As always, it comes back to law enforcement. Patrice, I want to give you the last word. We talk so much about immigration through a Latin American lens and certainly a Mexican lens. Tell us, what should we think about and know about the Black immigration movement and crisis, and what can we do to help?
I think we should be really clear that individuals migrate. First of all, migration is a human right. And so as soon as we're able to banish certain words from our vocabulary, that would make things a lot easier. Secondly, being anti-Black and enforcing anti-Blackness is as American as apple pie. It is a part of the Democratic establishment, the Republican establishment. It is a part of the fabric of this nation, and it just seeps and trickles and can literally be found in almost all the problems in immigration. It is embedded so deep that it is almost impossible to reform the system, and this is why no one is speaking out about it. Black immigrants exist. We are treated worse in detention. We are treated worse by deportations. We are deported 5 times our rate in the population. We have laws created just for us. There are loopholes that have been created, and once we find them out, they close. We are the ones who have the lowest visa caps of anyone, and have the least autonomy to be able to migrate to this country. And we are the ones who are criminalized over and over as our communities are over policed. And we are the ones that are targeted and are called the bad immigrants, who we do not want to stay in the United States. Almost every immigration relief policy has a disclaimer that says you cannot actually get this if you have anything that would make you a second chance person. Any type of, I won't even name what it would be, but anything that anything that doesn't make you pristine. And even the Black members of Congress will hone in on this and will say, we are giving relief only to the people who are good. We are going to have to fight a very, very long way, but I am proud of orgs that are doing that work.
Thank you so much for doing this work. It sounds all like we're just dismantling structural racism constantly. Nayyera, thank you so much for being back with us. Patrice Lawrence, we appreciate you.